Greetings. Please allow me a formal introduction. First, Ome, our Earth Mother. Then, my ancestors of my mother, Judith Brostoff Sauceda. My ancestors of my father, Jesus Bernardino Sauceda. And my ancestors of my adopted lineage, Tutlani Jodi Moonwalker, the Chiricahua, and the White Mountain Apache people. I have always been precocious. From this high, knee-high to a gnat. So by the time I was 5, this was known. Known well enough in my community, people were forewarned. This almost never stopped, and neither did this. It was a matter of getting the two to always coordinate together and make sure that the legs kept up. So from very young, knee-high to a gnat, remember, your legs are your best friend. They'll get you there. Slow down. You need some background because I understand that I am of a different culture base. And so in our culture base, including the Judaic one, as well as the Ueme Chiricahua, Inde people, children are allowed to participate and invited to from the get-go. None of this silence. In fact, if you're too silent, what do you think, little one? What is your feelings here? What is your opinion here? What do you see? So at the age of 5, we were taken to our first official spiritual sacred event with our community. My older sister was 2 years older. She was 7. And so we went. And after this big meeting with all the adults and all of that stuff, we were divvied up, us kids. There were those of us who were 4 to 6, myself in that group, and we went off and we made beautiful silk flowers. And then my older sister was in the next group up, and she, being 7 to 10 in that group, they got to go out in the mountains and were set in a sacred circle to sit in silence, meditation, sacred prayer for an hour with just them and the winds and the birds and trees around them. Of course, there were adults watching. We were in the mountains. Make sure we're okay, no skunks or bears or any other beings showing up. And she came back with these great stories. I could not stop. Why? I want to do that. Of course, I complained loudly, as you can tell. First to my mother. My sister would not hear it. She was like, I went to my mother, and her response when I was unreasonable, go talk to your dad. So I talked to my father, and I explained to him, because I knew, no screaming with this one. No crying with this one. There's not going to be any moving of heart or mind unless you present it mind, heart, body, all together. I have a request, Daddy. I hadn't called him Daddy except for when I really want something. It was the setup. So he sat me down and he said, all right, please share with me what you wish. I said, I want to do the 1-hour vigil. The elders consider you to be too young. And I went, but I'm sure I can do it. Will you promise to stay in the circle? Yes, yes, yes. I know you get fidgety. I promise I'll stay in the circle. Am I allowed to move a little bit? Yes, it's large enough for you to have room. You're allowed to move, like in ceremony, clockwise and inside the circle. No screaming, no yelling, quiet. You understand? There will be no water, no snacks. You understand? Yes, I can do this. Can you present this to the elders? Because it's not up to me. All right. So that evening, we went to the elders, and we went around the circle, and I was surrounded by all of the elders. And he introduced me quite formally, and then I stood there, and I presented to them, this is what I want to do. And then they asked questions, and I had to show my full-hearted sincerity and humility, and that I would follow the guidelines. They agreed. As I said, I was rather precocious. So the next day we go out, and they put me in the circle first, because I'm 5, quote, underage. But I presented well. So I was put in first. The people who were the oldest and put out in the mountains the last, they actually got 1 hour. That means I actually got over that. I don't know how much. But I was first in the circle, last out. So I sat and I did my homework. And the mountains began to talk to me. And the trees began to sing. And the birds began to circle. I was not allowed to answer back. Just listen. You will walk the path of your grandmother. That was their message. There were a few other little pieces along with it. You know, it was much more intricate than that. But you have to understand that's the retirement piece. Because you won't understand that until we get the beginning. So I was invited back to the elder circle. They agreed. I was invited to the meetings. I was 5 years old. The next person up was 13. Then one 16-year-old and a few 17, 18 on up. I was really lonely. But I did get along okay with the 13-year-old. They confirmed, you have a great work to do. 7 years later, my older sister doesn't want to learn healing. That's what my grandmother was. And I'm off to the side. What are you doing? What are you doing? Now what are you doing? What are you doing? Tia Lucy Esquivel said, now. Sit on the steps. So I was never told when they were meeting, but I showed up 3 days in a row, sitting quiet on the steps. My older sister had nothing. She didn't want to do it. She was like, nothing. No. And Lucy got tired and she said, okay. And she looked over as she's telling Mika, you can go. And she sees me there sitting. 3 days. You may come in. And so my apprenticeship began. And on one of those days of learning healing, I was given the proposition and the understanding, you have a choice. When you are a curandera, now some of you will understand that word, some of you will not. It is a female healer. And it is a union, a fusion of African, Spanish, Jewish, and native ways. And so I began to be trained. The proposition was this, and at 12 years old I had to decide, either it's friends and family or in the greater world, but you don't match them. Otherwise you have no time off. And so I couldn't see how that made sense in the greater world. So obviously friends and family. So that's what I did. friends and family. I loved it. I did the work. Fast forward to my 20s, late 20s. Saturn returns. Some of you are probably really familiar with what happens there. It's deep house cleaning. What works, you keep. What doesn't work, you throw out. And now, my mother's friend invites her friend, and they ask. And now, my friend's friend's friends ask for work. And now I don't even know these people. And my tia Lila says, you must decide. The person who had the biggest fit was my mother, the Jewish one. My father looked at me and he said, I knew from the moment I met you, this would be your path. And it would be in the greater world. So, work, and it expands and explodes and expands and expands. And I have to start turning my phone off. I have to start getting a separate line for the work. And my husband, by that time I'm married, now I'm in my 60s, and his comment to me is, well, your full-time is everybody else's overtime. Just want you to know that. All right, so I reached 65, and something I've been praying for ages, I had my 2 nieces come and ask if I would teach them my grandmother's ways, their great-grandmother's ways. And I agreed. And I was like, okay, we are going to get that Social Security. I am going to retire. You know, everyone warns me, it takes months to happen. Well, I didn't get asked until like 2 months short of 66. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to fill out all the stuff. It takes months for this to happen. I'm clearing my schedule completely. My husband's just looking at me. You sure? Yes, I'm going to teach my nieces. And then my nephew might come along. Think about it. It'll be carried on. Well, my Social Security did come through for May, which was my birthday month. And of course, it arrives in June. I had all my schedule cleared. I had gone to half-time, because that isn't quite enough notice when you are a curandera and people, and you have worked with not only them, but their grandmother, their grandfather, their children. You're working with 3-4 generations here. So I promised them, I will put in a few years part-time. So I'm carefully arranging my schedule, half-time. All right, so June comes along. First week I'm working. Second week, I'm going to be in Maine. I'm visiting the Puffins. I'm going to go visit the beach, volunteer to pick up trash. And I'm going to have some picnics and do things I never allow for when I'm traveling, just one day off. Not a whole sumptuous week. It's getting late in May. This is my last official month of working. I come to Santa Fe at that time once a month. Now it's more like once every other month. And one morning I'm getting ready for Santa Fe, and that means I am whipping through each and every single prayer meditation, do my clearings, do my shields, get my heart, mind, and body all together, all a friend and an alliance. I'm almost knocked out of my chair. Ome, this can wait. We'll talk after I get back. It's more serious. Ome, beloved Ome is our beloved shared mother. This is not physical, but I am almost knocked out of my chair. And I'm like, I really need to get up there. I have people who are waiting for me. It's an hour-plus drive. Please. And I start doing by now I'm no longer clear, so I'm quickly whipping through my clearings. Gotta get clear. Sheila. Now I am pushed out of my seat. And I go to Ome, beloved Earth Mother. Great additional sound, don't you think? Wow. She's adding sound. Yes. And she did. She made me leap out of my seat. All right, Ome, my beloved sacred mother that we all share, Earth Mother, what is it you want? You will accept the first request today. I've had training in the Starwalker lineage. I've had training in the Jewish lineage. Rabbi Goldman was that one. I have training in the Moonwalker lineage, all three of them. You never say yes on face value. You say, let me contemplate this. I will pray on it, and I will get back to you soon. You always allow yourself 2 to 3 days. If you can't do it in then you give a week or a month. I need to consult my elders. And I go, really? And she says, you will accept the first request today. Okay, well, you're going to have to help me with my clearings and shielding because I am way behind now. So I rush through, finish feeding the horses, the cats, the dogs, everybody's good to go. The dog is with me, and we head to Santa Fe. Now, I had a modern car. I still have a modern car. You know, those ones that you plug in your phone and you hear them as you drive? Yes, I happened to have it on that day. Rare for me, but I had it on. I did not even get 8 miles from home. Ring, 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 ring. It's not anonymous. It's someone who has permission to call me because I have a Do Not Disturb app, and I use it. It is one of my mentorees, an apprentice. Hello, Jennifer. Grandmother, you answered. Yes, my dear. Do you have some time? It's totally clear. No cows on the road, no coyotes on the road. No one's there. It's just me. Long highway to go. Very rural highway, by the way. Not a big highway. I have a request. Jennifer, don't go farther. Jennifer, yes, do you want to hear it? No. Jennifer, the answer is yes. Now, would you tell me what I just agreed to? And so Jennifer informed me that she had a friend who was the founder of the Aniwa gathering and people. They are an international group. And she was looking for an indigenous elder that's made up of the indigenous elders who would be of the Southwest and come and be a teacher. I had just agreed. And I saw 2 things, poof, lots of smoke, and my husband laughing. Can you do an interview this afternoon? And I said, yes, I will do an interview. And as I passed through the little towns on the way up of Stanley and Galisteo, and as well through El Dorado, there on the left, amongst the trees, she rises large, wings outspread, a dark brown with a flash of red tail, and in her claws, clearly female by the color of the red, there is a writhing 7-foot snake. Rises, turns, and flies right in front of me. Turns and looks at me and moves on to the east. For us, the red-tailed hawk, both my Yoeme and my Moonwalker family. This is the signal the ancestors have given their blessing.